Every so often on social media, you see the question arise, what is your favorite movie of all time? For me, sometimes I think about it. I'm a big comedy person, and usually the dumber the comedy, the more I enjoy it. So Dumb and Dumber, for example, or Airplane, or Happy Gilmore, or I don't know, certain movies like that, I guess, kind of group all those together. Or I can refer to Three Stooges shorts from the 30s and 40s. If it's goofy comedy and it makes me laugh, I'm usually all over it, because laughter is the best medicine, and as difficult as life is, it is always good to laugh and to kind of put the other stuff on hold for a little while. But when I consider those, then I remember another movie that I always fall back on, that I've been watching since 2001, that I've probably watched at least 100 times, and will probably watch another 100 times at least before I am dead and buried in the ground. That movie is from 1989. It stars Fred Savage, Christian Slater, and Beau Bridges. It is called The Wizard, a story of a young boy, a traumatized young boy who lost a sister in a freak swimming accident, and he winds up being separated from his half-brothers, being Christian Slater and Fred Savage's characters. So he runs away with Fred Savage from Utah to California, joining up with Jenny Lewis on this trip to a video game tournament that is suspiciously like the Nintendo World Championships 1990, I might add. And I love this movie. And it's not a great film, and I admit it wholeheartedly. There are not only inaccuracies with the video game portions of the film, but the acting is kind of suspect, and some of the sequences in the movie are just plain weird. And I totally get that. I admit it. Some of it is so goofy that it's funny, and maybe that's one of the reasons why I tend to watch it when I'm feeling sad or depressed or stressed out. But it's the video games that come center stage in the movie that really get me interested. It's not the drama piece. It's not what happens to Jimmy Woods in his trip to California, and how he and Fred Savage's character gets close, and how Christian Slater buries the hatchet with Beau Bridges, and all of this other stuff in the background. It is about Nintendo games. It's about games in arcades. It's about video games taking center stage on the big screen or on my screen in a movie that is kind of realistic if you think about it. Maybe not kids hitchhiking from Utah to California, but in terms of kids going to a video game tournament and using video games to kind of deal with life's problems and stresses. And I identify with that so much, because I have always leaned on video games in my life when the chips have been down, when I have struggled with things. When I was having difficulty in school and I was getting bullied, the arcade was a place that I always used to go to get away from all of that. When I'm feeling down and depressed and I need kind of to shut the real world off for a little while, I bury myself in a game. Usually it's a retro game. Sometimes it's a more modern game on my Switch. It can vary depending on my mood. But video games are my salve for a lot of the things that aren't great in life. And when it's not video games, when I'm just feeling tired or maybe sick or run down, it is watching this film that helps me out tremendously. This is the copy of the DVD that I got back in 2001 that I started to watch the movie for the first time. I had heard about it. I had always wanted to see it, but I didn't have cable at the time. I didn't have like the premium channels that were showing it. I always tended to miss it. I never could find a video store that rented the VHS, so I had to wait for the DVD, and I was thrilled when it finally came out. The DVD has definitely seen better days. I don't thankfully use it much anymore because I have it digitally, but that's what the DVD looks like on the inside. And it does have those lame little tabs there that you have to kind of take off. This is what the back of the DVD case looks like. So I have the DVD here. I have a digital copy of the movie that I bought from the iTunes store that I watch on my phone or on my tablet. I have the riff tracks version of the film, so I get to hear the guys riff on the movie, which is pretty funny. And probably one of the cooler things that I still have from 2007 is a 6-part Screw Attack commentary of the film done by Stuttering Craig and Handsome Tom. Something that you can't find on YouTube anymore. I don't think I've seen it anywhere. I'm not about to upload it because it would probably come down, but it is one of my more prized possessions, something that I'm thrilled that I still have, and I still watch every so often to this day because the commentary that those guys do is also pretty funny, and I appreciate their video game insight. So a lot of the things about the movie that make me interested with the video game piece happens to be the trip to California and the competition in Video Armageddon. That is basically almost not a carbon copy per se, but definitely based on the Nintendo World Championships from 1990, something that I still regret to this day not having gone to. I was living in Greenfield, Massachusetts, which is in northern or northwestern Mass, pretty much straight north from Springfield by about 40 minutes. Maybe I'm wrong because it's been a while since I've been up there. I graduated from high school up there, and the Nintendo World Championship stop was in Hartford. So I really didn't have an excuse not to go. I just didn't put all the pieces together, and I still kick myself 30 plus years later for not having gone to this event. And that's really what the Wizard kind of used as its basis, was that Nintendo World Championship setup where it was this big video game competition where everyone was competing for spots in the finals, and that's the way that Nintendo World Championships set up. This here is a guide from Nintendo World Championships, I believe, that you could get from the floor, or at least it was something that was in circulation that talked about the Nintendo World Championships. And this is one of my more prized possessions that I like to look on every now and again. So you get to see the show floor right here. They kind of give you a little bit of a walkthrough of what's going on. There's the Power Walk there that has Acclaim's Double Dragon 2 and River City Ransom from Technos, Chippendale Rescue Rangers from Capcom, Dragon Spirit, which is from Bandai, which is really from Namco, Al Unser's Turbo Racing, Baseball Simulator 1000 from Culture Brain, Zexus from Hudson Soft, Bases Loaded 2 from Jalico, Castlevania 3 from Konami, that was a big deal. The Punisher from LJN. Ooh, LJN. Final Fantasy, which was Nintendo published, it came from Square, obviously. Crystallis from SNK. Batman from Sunsoft. Wrath of Black Manta from Taito. And Ninja Gaiden 2 from Tecmo. So that is awesome, being able to go to this event and check out all of those games. There's also the competition arena as well, where you got to compete on the Nintendo World Championships cart, which had Super Mario Brothers, Rad Racer, and Tetris on it. There's also, you could make a music video while you were there. You could check out a whole bunch of different stuff. Again, just taking a look at the floor, I still kick myself for not having gone. Also, in this little guide, we have a look at the games that are on the show floor. So we have a look at Final Fantasy here, as well as an ad for a projection TV, which I believe is a Panasonic TV, a Panasonic Prism. We also have here, these are all like the Nintendo releases. They list all the games that are out and are coming soon. So soon on this list, Final Fantasy and Star Tropics. This was as of March 1990, so Super Spike V-Ball is listed here, which is an awesome game, by the way. So here are the list of like the World of Nintendo stores. You've probably seen a couple of these pictures before, like the one in the middle here. You've seen people on social media kind of pick on those pictures. And these are World of Nintendo stores that were within stores, which I always wanted to see. I only saw one in my life, and that was at the Crystal Mall in like southeastern Connecticut. That is the closest that I ever came to going to a World of Nintendo store. When I was there for about 15 minutes, and I was broke that day, so I didn't have any money to spend. So I just kind of looked around and went, "Oh man, I wish I had money," and that was the end of that deal. So store listings. So they had them at like Best Buy, Bradley's. Those of you here in New England and the Northeast remember Bradley's? I sure do. Caldor, Child World. Let's see what else rings a bell with me here. Toys R Us, of course. Suncoast Pictures. Riches, I remember Riches. Sears. Nobody Beats the Wiz. Everyone remembers that up here in the Northeast. KB Toys, Fred Meyer. Woolworth. J.C. Penney out of Oakland. FAO Schwartz. Those are just a sample of Circuit City. A lot of these places, of course, are gone now. Ames and Zayre is also on this list. I love the World of Nintendo idea. I thought it was just the coolest. Then we have a little bit here on Double Dragon 2, The Revenge. So there's something here from Acclaim. It also gives a Knight Rider tip and a little bit of information on Acclaim, the masters of the game. And also an article here about the Children's Hospital in Seattle with the hands-free controller. So you can see those there. Also in the magazine here, in the mini Nintendo Power, we have Solstice and Dragon Spirit. Again, Dragon Spirit, although Bandai published it, it's really a Namco game. You can play Dragon Spirit on the Namco Museum Archives, which is available on the Switch and the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4, which is like the Famicom classics. So this game is what's on there. So it's finally from Namco instead of Bandai here. We also have the Nintendo World Championships competition. That's what I wanted to do. So it talks all about the competition cartridge. So in Super Mario Brothers, collect 50 coins as quickly as you can. In the fourth pipe, there is a coin room you shouldn't pass up. 10 coin blocks are in the same location as your home Super Mario Brothers game. To earn extra points, time your jump to the flagpole at the end of the world so that the last number in the timer is 1, 3, or 6. Then you have to play Rad Racer after that, where you have to complete the first track. And then, whatever time you have left, you play Tetris. I always loved the Nintendo World Championship cart. Obviously, getting the real cart itself is super expensive, like tens of thousands of dollars. I do have a reproduction cart that I got from my time working at Retro World Expo, and I love that cart. I haven't played it in a while, and honestly, my scores aren't great, but just the ability to play it whenever I want always takes me back to this event. Also an ad here or a little article here on Rescue Rangers from Capcom, who was one of Nintendo's biggest third-party supporters at the time. We also have River City Ransom and Baseball Simulator 1000 here from Culture Brain. And something interesting from Culture Brain that I didn't know, and it's actually listed in this magazine, so check this out. After producing an arcade hit in Japan, Monster Zero, in 1981, Culture Brain Incorporated helped develop Donkey Kong. That's what it says. I did not know that Culture Brain had anything to do with Donkey Kong, so that blew me away. Since then, popular games for the arcade and Nintendo Family Computer System in Japan have followed, including Space Hunter, Dynamic Ski, Chinese Hero, and Shanghai Kid. Of course, Baseball Simulator, being the retro referee myself, I love Baseball Simulator 1000. Only beaten by Super Baseball Simulator 1000. Fantastic baseball game. I love the power-ups in that game. Gives it that arcade feel and definitely makes it more unique than your average baseball game. Al Unser's Turbo Racing from Data East and Lolo 2 from HAL. So I'm guessing these are games that are shown off on Power Way, like the Power Walk at the event. Zexus, also a Milon Secret Castle tip, and Bases Loaded 2 with an Astyanax tip. This is such a cool magazine. I got this from Retro Games Plus in Newington, Connecticut. It was a steal, I thought. I think I only paid like $3 for this. And I'm glad I have it. That's for darn sure. Rocket Ranger from Kemco and Castlevania 3 from Konami. Konami, one of the heavy hitters for the NES, as well as for the SNES and Genesis a little bit later on. I mean, listen to this Konami Ultra lineup. Remember that Ultra was a Konami subsidiary. That way Konami could make double the amount of games for the NES because of this weird third-party licensing agreement that Nintendo had at the time. So listen to these. Gradius, Russian Attack, Track and Field, Castlevania, Double Dribble, Stinger, Goonies 2, Top Gun, Contra, Metal Gear, Jackal, Life Force, Blades of Steel, Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest, Skate or Die, Gyrus, Cubert, Track and Field 2, Bayou Billy, Defender of the Crown, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Kings of the Beach, Top Gun The Second Mission, Jack Nicklaus, Major Championship Golf. That's kind of the one that's Castlevania 3, Mission Impossible, Snake's Revenge, Super C, and that's not all of them. We had TMNT 2, we had TMNT 3 as well. So Konami was just prolific on the NES, and it was really cool that they were at this show. What it says here about Konami, the little write-up that Nintendo Power does for them. Konami and its subsidiary Ultra Software are among the leading producers of game packs for the NES. From their first title, Gradius, to their most recent releases, Konami has released a long string of hits. Most of Konami's NES games are proven favorites in the arcades, but original titles from the NES are also generated by the programming specialists at Konami. The results are games with very appealing characters, awesome action, exotic locations, and challenging play. And boy, is that not the truth. That is awesome. LJN, and notice that they don't put the LJN logo up here, it's just interactive. I think Nintendo Power knew what it was doing by not showing the LJN logo, talking about the Punisher here. LJN knows that a name is not enough. Interactive is a division of LJN Toys which is exclusively devoted to the creation and distribution of Nintendo-related software and hardware. Interactive's current game plan is to bring popular licensed titles as Back to the Future, ooh, and Marvel's X-Men to the NES, and they are likely to continue this approach to NES game design. What approach is that exactly? Ugh. Realizing that a big name alone will not sell a game, Interactive uses a license to enhance a game concept by adding play features that might not be possible without it. This philosophy has resulted in past NES classics and is making for some promising future titles. Is this an April Fool's joke? Ugh, no. Also, an article here about Crystalis from SNK. SNK, not as prolific a third-party publisher as Konami or Capcom, but nonetheless, very important publisher for some of the games that they released. Sunsoft and Batman. Man, Sunsoft's Batman for the NES is still one of the best Batman video games to date. Yes, people can talk about Arkham Asylum and Arkham City and the Arkham series all they want, and that's perfectly fine. Those are very good games. I'm not going to pick on those. But the original Batman for NES was just fantastic. From the music to the graphics, the challenging gameplay, it really had it all. One of my other favorite Batman games, by the way, is Batman Returns from Konami for the Super Nintendo, which is a fantastic beat-em-up. And if I'm being honest, probably better than Final Fight. Yeah, I said it. That's what I think. Also, Wrath of the Black Manta, the weird-looking ninja down there at the bottom. That's from Taito. Taito, of course, now is part of the Squaresoft family. And last but not least, Tecmo's Ninja Gaiden 2. Ninja Gaiden 2 is my favorite of the three Ninja Gaiden games. To me, it has the most realistic difficulty. It is difficult without being punishing. It is a game that I think is beatable by pretty much everybody, although it certainly takes a lot of practice. The final bosses are more forgivable, and the music is also very good, and the graphics and the cutscenes are still outstanding, just like they were in their first game. So that's a look at the Nintendo World Championships guide, and I have one more to share because this is a repeat episode, and you know how long these tend to go. So I talked about the Wizard, showed you the movie, there it is right there. There was a Pocket Power issue that featured the Wizard on the front. Again, I got this from Retro Games Plus a few years ago. So when we open this up, it is basically a miniature Nintendo Power issue. So you have all of the different sections of the guide here, talking about DuckTales and Robocop, Dragon Warrior, NES Play Action Football, Wheel of Fortune, and Jeopardy Jr. There's also some sections here about the Wizard. There is a nice little layout here talking to Fred Savage, as well as just the behind the scenes of the movie itself. What I also find interesting is that there was merch for the Wizard, something that if I knew back then, I would have wanted some of this stuff. You have the movie poster, which was $13. The Wizard lunchbox, which is right there. Again, $10 for that. You could get a change case. You could put all your tokens or quarters in that change case. A water bottle, a baseball cap, the Wizard Video Champ stickers. You could put those on your cartridges to say that you were the champion. T-shirts and sweatshirts. Man, I'd love to find those today. I would wear those. Also, the Wizard pin, fanny pack, because fanny packs were definitely all the rage back then, and the Wizard watch as well. So I really thought it was neat that this merchandise existed. Sadly, I can't find any of it on eBay, and I'm sure if I did, it would be probably half a year's pay in order to buy it. But I definitely think this is pretty neat. And notice, just on the other side, they're talking about the Nintendo World Championships again, which we just talked about a little while ago. When we look further into the magazine, again, we're looking at DuckTales from Capcom. Fantastic game. Iconic music, especially the Moon, of course. Robocop and Dragon Warrior are also here. Robocop, but Dragon Warrior was certainly an important title as role-playing games are certainly starting to hit their stride. NES Play Action Football, also talking about the NES Satellite as well. Play Action Football, while some people disagree, I think it's a pretty good football game. It is definitely in the upper echelon for the NES, certainly better than like NFL football, for example, or even John Elway's Quarterback. It is a playable game. It is isometric, so it's a little bit different, and the issues with stamina will definitely tick off some players, but I think it's a fun game to play. The Chess Master, and note that I did get this used, so there are pieces of the guide missing, unfortunately, but we have something for the Chess Master here. Game Boy, I'm assuming they might have cut out a picture of the Game Boy there, but a look at Tetris as well, as also NES Tetris, which, by the way, pales in comparison to Tengen Tetris, just saying. Another ad here for Nintendo Power. Can you believe this guy right here is supposed to be 15? Do you buy that? I don't. What's his name? His name is Jeff Benson. Jeff likes skateboarding, rock and roll, Super Mario Bros. 2, and Nintendo Power Magazine. Who knew? Send me Nintendo Power Magazine. Oh, yes, please. Bring it back the way it used to be, and I will sign up for a subscription. Of course, that's just not going to happen, but... What else do we have here? Clash of Demon Head, a game that I've been meaning to play, but I have not. I've heard good things about it from Vic Tokai, but here you go. Clash of Demon Head. Goal and Hoops from Jalico. We also have Shadowgate from Kemco and Stealth ATF. So you got those right there. Games I've never was really interested in, if I'm being honest. Fester's Quests and Marble Madness. And there's pieces of the page missing again. Kind of sucks, but it is what it is. Oh, that's why, because it's Super Mario Bros. 3. Speaking of the Wizard, there's Super Mario Bros. 3 right there, which was talked about in the movie. The Wizard basically was your Super Mario Bros. 3 debut, world debut, at least here in the US. Iron Sword from Acclaim. Iron Sword featuring Fabio on the box art. That is not Fabio there. He is on the actual box art for the game. There's also some classified information. This was one of the cooler parts of Nintendo Power, is they would give you codes and strategies and things. So we got into these. Mega Man 2, so they show you the boss order, which I might use because I'm actually playing through Mega Man 2 again. So I might have to cheat and steal that. Abadox and Snake's Revenge. Abadox is a great shooter. If you have an NES and you haven't played Abadox, I recommend it. It's difficult. It is like Gradius difficult, but it's a lot of fun to play. It has like Life Force vibes to it, and it's not quite as good as Life Force, but nevertheless, as far as a shmup or shoot 'em up or STG or whatever you want to call it, it is one of the more underrated games, and I think deserves your time if you can find a spare copy of it lying around. Super Off-Road from Trade West and Double Dragon 2 The Revenge. That's what you see right there. And finally, I love the Power Glove. It's so bad. Everything else is child's play. Yes, the Power Glove, an item that I've never owned. I think I wore one once because I found it at a video game store and I just wanted to try it on. Interesting concept, probably before its time, and is another thing that's featured in The Wizard. Lucas wears this when he's playing Rad Racer. But this is just a cool accessory. I think cooler to display than to use, but nevertheless, it has that air of coolness to it. And last but not least, on the back page here, we have an ad for Pepsi. The Pepsi generation is in effect, and back then in 1990, I was more of a Sprite guy. I didn't get into Pepsi until I was much older. But now I am Pepsi for life, yo. That's my thing. So that's a look here at the Wizard and at a couple of my more interesting small guidebook items that I've collected over the years. Wizard's one of my favorite movies of all time. As a matter of fact, after I finish filming this, while I'm uploading it to YouTube, I'm probably going to check out that Screw Attack movie commentary for a little bit. In the meantime, my friends, thank you very much for watching. I hope that your 2021 is off to an awesome start. Look for more content very soon, including some unsealed stuff and another print from the past. Until then, take care of yourselves and each other, and we'll do it again soon.